Welcome to SWTV, Sylvia with the Voice, your ultimate source for the most abnormal news and wildest reactions on the internet. I'm Sylvia, and we need to talk about what is happening in these streets. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button because it's about to get weird. Let's go. Who is Katie McCormack, the mystery girl connected to the Nolan Wells case? Today, we're taking a closer look at who she is, what has been said about her connection to the case, and why her name has people asking questions. Let's get into it, y'all. So the mystery girl in Nolan Wells' case reportedly identified. New details are emerging about the final hours before Nolan Wells disappeared, as conflicting accounts from people who were on the remote Mississippi island continue to raise questions about what happened. According to the Daily Mail, the woman Wells was reportedly speaking with before he disappeared has been identified as 19-year-old Katie McCormack. Wells was last seen on Horn Island on July 4th after his friends said he chose to stay behind on the island while they returned to the mainland. After the boat developed issues, his body was found 2 days later. Ashley Cole previously said that her son Warren spoke to Wells around 3 p.m. on July 4th, when Wells indicated that he would get a boat home with another group of friends. The woman identified in Nolan Wells' case disputes claims he chose to stay on Horn Island. However, McCormack's sister, Gracie, disputes the claim that Wells intentionally stayed behind to continue talking with Katie. The results of the private autopsy of the 18-year-old Nolan Wells have come back inconclusive. Katie had a conversation and assumed that Nolan was getting ready to get on the boat he came out on. Gracie McCormack told the Daily Mail, Katie assumed that the friends telling him to get on the boat wouldn't have left him. According to Gracie McCormack, Katie was on the island with a different group of friends and later left with her brother and his fiancé. She said the family has fully cooperated with investigators and Wells' family. Katie McCormack has not spoken publicly about the case. The differing accounts have become a focal point for Wells' family and their attorney, Ben Crump. Attorney points to contradictory witness statements as investigation continues. She's saying he went to get on the boat. They're saying he didn't get on the boat, Crump said. Somebody must not be telling the truth. Authorities have not publicly identified any suspects or indicated foul play. The investigation remains ongoing, and Wells' official cause of death has not yet been released. Let's take a quick look at the summary of events and let me know what y'all think in the comments below.
At Horn Island, when you're out there, a lot of people ride out there with someone and in with somebody else all the time. I've done that 100 times. You know, it's a very common thing, but Nolan was sitting by the boat with that Katie girl, and my buddy yelled for Nolan, get on the boat. We're leaving. The boat's having issues. And no, he didn't say that, but he was panicking. Nolan, get the F on the boat. Get on the boat. And Nolan said, no, I'm staying out here. I'm going to ride in with somebody else. And it's not uncommon to hear, but it's not like my buddy asked him one time. My buddy asked Nolan multiple times to get on the boat. Nolan, get on the boat. Get on the boat. We're leaving. If you're coming, you got to come now. And Nolan wasn't the only person to ride out there with us and in with somebody else. I mean, we had multiple people in our group that rode out with us and rode in on someone else's boat. And that, like I said, that's not an uncommon thing to do. You know, I mean, a lot of people do that. I could name probably 50 people out there that day that ran out with somebody and ran back in with somebody else. So, I mean, it's not like it's an uncommon thing, but it's not like we just left him there or my friends just left him there. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island after my friends asked him multiple times and told him to get on.
Nolan, and then when was the last time that someone reported to you that Nolan was seen? Okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
You saw him at a certain point, but then someone else saw him a lot later when you guys were gone.
Right. Okay. So the last time I personally laid eyes on Nolan was at like 3 o'clock, and he was, front of the boat with the girl, and that's the last time I saw him. But there were, I've talked to somebody personally that saw Nolan at 6 o'clock, and someone, we weren't even the last people to see Nolan. Once we left, there were still dozens on dozens on dozens of boats around us. And I mean, clearly we were not the last people to see Nolan.
Nolan Wells was last seen on July 4th after a boat trip to Horn Island with his friends. His body was found 2 days later. A mother of one of the friends Nolan was with saying the group left without Nolan when their boat began malfunctioning.
We're sinking. Can you all please come?
Nolan's friend, Warren Hudson, describing in a recent podcast that Nolan was chatting with a woman when his friend urged him to leave.
Nolan, get the F on the boat. Get on the boat. And Nolan said, no, I'm staying out here. I'm going to ride in with somebody else. My buddy asked Nolan multiple times to get on the boat. Nolan made a decision to stay out on the island.
This week, preliminary results from an independent autopsy ordered by a legal team representing Nolan Wells' family found his cause and manner of death were undetermined. The doctor, however, noting he could not rule out foul play. Meanwhile, almost 3 weeks later, no official cause of death and still no clear answers about what happened to Nolan Wells.
Please remember to comment, like, subscribe. We'll continue the conversation in the comments below. Please remember to be mindful and respectful, and I'll see you in the next video.